Good evening, America. This is the Big Red One guy reminding you that together we must break the machine. So, unless you've been living under a rock or living in a cave somewhere in the Balkans, President's son was in federal court. The jury of his so called peers came back and found him guilty on three federal gun charges. So, but I have a little article from the Epic Times. I'm not going to get into it for too long, just to read a little bit of it so you're just aware of what went down in the court. So, see, jury finds Hunter Biden guilty on all three charges in gun trial. Hunter Biden next faces a September court date in California over tax evasion charges. Yeah, he has that looming over him too. What you got to understand in America is that this right here, it's not a hit piece. It's not nothing. All it is like a bit of a red herring, okay? Because we all know that what Trump is going to going, and we know the bullshit he's going in going that's going on in New York, and he didn't have due process of the law. Okay, we still don't know to this day the 34 counts that he's been brought up on. So I'm not sure. So we're just gonna read a little bit more of this. Okay. Hunter Biden was found guilty on all charges in his gun trial on June 11th, becoming the first child of a sitting president to face a federal trial and conviction. The trial hinged on Colt Cobra revolver that Mr. Biden bought from a gun store on October 12, 2018, during a time prosecutors say he was in the throes of a crack cocaine addiction. Everybody knows that he was, the guy's been strung out for a very long time. All the Biden kids were all messed up, some form or fashion. So it's a terrible thing. Listen, addiction is terrible. Especially a lot of rich people, their kids, for whatever reason, man, they go through it. Their parents don't pay attention to them. Not all the rich kids, obviously, or kids who grew up in affluent areas, but like there are plenty of them. I knew plenty of them in high school who were just, they were cokeheads, stuff like that. Had all kinds of money, and their parents threw everything at them, and dropped them off here for babysitting here and babysitting there. And I knew plenty of kids in high school who came from affluent means who were just straight up strung out. Says authorities accuse Mr. Biden of lying to the federally licensed gun store by illegally claiming on his application, that's the ATF form 4473, I think it is, which is an entrapment form. Okay. So when you go to buy a gun, you got to fill this thing out for them to do a background check on you. Okay. It's a federal background check. So they check every database. Okay. Uh, the feds have, and that also includes states and stuff. So if you've been arrested in another state, it'll pop up on the federal check. So when they tell you this bullshit line that people don't that background checks aren't happening from gun buyers, it's bullshit. It's almost immediate. You cannot get a gun without having a background check in this country. All right. So he lied on it because he was in the middle of being a drug addict, and probably one of the questions are you under the influence of any kind of narcotics or alcohol? So it's an entrapment, right? So like, who's gonna fucking say that they're on drugs or they're drinking? They have alcohol problems when they're filling out this form. I'm pretty positive 99% of the people that fill one of these fucking things out are not going to say the truth that they're on drugs and shit like that. So it's just like I said, it's an entrapment question. Uh, okay. Unlawful possession of 11. Mr. Biden was facing three felonies and pled not guilty to the charges. Jurors deliberated for an hour late in the afternoon on June 10th before resuming the following morning. Total, they spent 3 hours deliberating the case. The verdict was handed down after a week long trial that saw testimony from Mr. Biden's ex wife, Kathleen Buell, ex girlfriend Zoe Keston, sister in law and ex partner, Haley Biden. That was his brother, the brother who died of cancer. The one that Biden keeps saying died in Iraq and didn't. He died of cancer. That was his wife. So as soon as he died, actually before he died, Hunter Biden, his brother, was fucking his wife. So he went to his deathbed with his brother fucking banging his wife. Great guy, isn't he? Naomi Biden, expert witnesses, the gun store owner and the clerk, his daughter, I'm sorry, Naomi Biden, expert witnesses, the gun store owner and the clerk who sold the gun to Mr. Biden, and the man who found the gun in the trash. So I guess what he did is he fucking chucked his gun that he purchased. The prosecutors argued that the testimony from Mr. Biden's ex romantic partners, along with the text messages and memoir excerpts, proved that Mr. Biden was knowingly an active drug addict in October 2018 when he purchased the firearm. Then his defense saying that he didn't recognize essentially that he was a drug addict, so he couldn't have lied to it. So, uh, Anyway, I'm gonna put a link in the description if you want to come back and actually read this article from the Epic Times. It's not a bad article. Okay. And let's talk really quick, America. Okay. That ATF form 4473, like I said, is an entrapment. Okay. They put all kinds of questions on there that they want you to answer. And essentially it's essentially to make sure they can't give you a weapon. Okay. So in many cases, a lot of good people don't get weapons to protect themselves, okay, which is our Second Amendment right. Okay. Just because they're not clear on how to answer these questions and stuff like that. And the ATF finds all kinds of reasons to deny people, right? And you know, because they're in the business of taking your guns from you. Okay, the ATF is not in of the business of making sure that you get to keep your guns. They want to take your gun. If you have a gun, they want to take it from you. Find the reason to. They come up with these bullshit regulations. They've been getting their asses handed to them in the Supreme Court recently because they just like they're bureaucrats. They make rules on guns and stuff like that and rifles, and none of this shit goes through Congress. But that's Congress's fault because they kind of gave them the authority to do that without fucking making them have to come back to Congress with certain things in order to get them passed as laws. So they subvert the Second Amendment by making regulations. And like I said, it's because Congress and the Supreme Court has essentially given them deference to make regulations and stuff like that. So until that gets fixed, the ATF is going to continue to want to come and find reasons to take people's weapons. But going back to this case, I don't want anybody to get caught up in this. Okay. It's easy to be like, aha, they got the president's son and stuff like that, but it's a red herring. Okay. They want to distract you from the bullshit that's going on in New York. Okay. Because former President Trump, 45, didn't have due process in that case. Okay. He wasn't allowed to present evidence. They didn't tell him what he was being charged until the very last minute. Okay. Which is illegal. Like you're supposed to know what you're getting charged for and what you're supposed to fight for to protect yourself. He wasn't allowed, he was barely allowed to have witnesses. The judge was extremely hostile to his witnesses. His daughter, the judge's daughter, was making money off the case, and he's a donor to Biden and everything. So the whole thing was just completely fucked up. Okay, he gave the jury like shitty instructions, and they essentially gave him a path to find President Trump guilty, and that's what they wanted. That's what they got. Plus, the jury was, in Manhattan, right? 80% of the people in Manhattan voted for Biden, so he's not going to get a fair trial in Manhattan. He couldn't get the case moved out of New York to go upstate or something like that. It just wouldn't happen. But anyway, that's just a distraction. So don't jump on that. Okay, just stay focused. Pay attention to what's going on. Okay, this is they just want you to watch what's going on the left and not pay attention to the right. Okay, uh, because something else is probably coming. They want to give you a little bit of something. Say, see, justice is fair. Okay, not even the president's son is above the law. Let me tell you right now, Hunter Biden isn't gonna fucking see a day in prison, not one day. Okay, if you think that. I know the president came out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna whatever. It's just gotta deal with it, right?" In some fucking interview, he was saying that he wouldn't pardon his son. It's a crock of shit. If Joe Biden ran into him with the pardon and says, "Sign right here," your son is not gonna spend a day in fucking jail. Trust me. Okay, he would sign that in a heartbeat. So anyway, America, stay up, stay open, stay frosty. Okay, eyes wide open, ears open. You got to listen when you're hearing things. Make sure you're actually listening. Also, listen with your eyes. Your eyes aren't deceiving you when you see the shit that's happening in front of you. Okay, don't let anybody gaslight you and tell you something different when you know what's going on. Right? This is all just a gaslight thing. Don't worry about it. You know, man isn't gonna listen. He's got a terrible affliction with drugs. Okay, he's a scumbag, scummy person. You know what they didn't charge him for? They let the statute of limitations pass. Okay, on the things they could have got him for because it would have it would have made sure that the president's name popped up. Okay, all the illegal money that they got from Ukraine, China, Russia. Okay, they let that shit, all the freaking money laundering, they let that expire. Okay, this tax shit is gonna be nothing for him in California. Anyway, America, this is a big one guy signing out and reminding you that together we must break the machine.